Hey everybody, it's almost the end of 2024. And I really kind of can't believe it. And so I thought it would be a really great opportunity to take a look at the last year and rate a bunch of different things in my top 5 and maybe one thing in my bottom 5. This is a look back at everything that's worked and hasn't worked for me in the year 2024. Let's start off with the technology. I've featured a lot of tech on this channel in the year 2024, and I've got a few picks of tech that I really like, that really stand out for me. And actually one of them I'm wearing on a regular basis. It's the OnePlus Watch 2. And I reviewed this, right when it came out, probably about 9 months ago. Hybrid OS architecture. And what does that actually mean? It's essentially that the operating system works in two different directions, two different modes, essentially. And what that does is that results in a really wonderful battery life for the watch. I mean, here we are about 8-9 months since this watch was released, and I'm used to getting 3 to 4 days of battery on a single charge, which is all because of that hybrid OS architecture. It really delivers on the promise of the battery. As an Android Wear device, I've never had an Android Wear device that was this effective when it comes to battery. I will say that there is a little bit of battery wonkiness. It really depends on what watch face you're using. I had a couple of months there where I was using the bold numbers watch face, and suddenly my battery usage started going through the floor, and I realized eventually that it was that watch face. I had to switch away from it. So keep that in mind. That might help you out. The Pixel 9 series. So I have the Pixel 9 Pro. This is kind of my daily driver phone. I've also used the Pixel 9. That's actually the phone that I did the review on the channel with. And specifically, I'm just a huge fan of the design. The design approach of Pixel devices in general has been appealing to me. And this year they went with more of like a flat design, still a very premium build, depending on the version that you get, kind of shiny hardware around the sides and the back, the framing. An excellent OLED panel up to 120 hertz. Your eyes are just going to be really happy. Mine certainly are. Gemini integration, of course, some people can take it and leave it. I actually really appreciate having Gemini there. It's not something I use all the time, but when it's there and when I need it, it's nice to be able to jump into it. And I would say probably more than anything, and consistently is the case with the Pixel series, is the camera system, especially the telephoto on the 9 Pro that I have right here. Use it all the time. I am just a nut for a solid telephoto camera, and the Pixel 9 definitely delivers. The 9 Pro anyways. And speaking of telephoto, the Galaxy S24 Ultra. I know I have that around here somewhere as well too. Oh, I have too much stuff just piled up around me. I'm so happy you can't see it. But the Galaxy S24 Ultra, love the premium build of this device. Again, going for a flat design in certain areas. The actual display doesn't curve around the sides like it used to. I think that's a really smart touch. It's just a really solid feeling device. It feels very premium. I love the camera output and also the look of the cameras. I mean, that like protruding camera look on the back is just kind of a nice look. I love that. But the output of the cameras themselves, and like I said, I'm a fan of telephoto. You actually have a 3x and a 5x telephoto on board. It's a chef's kiss. I absolutely love it. I use it all the time. And not to mention video footage. If you go back to my earlier reviews on this channel, the OnePlus Watch 2, OnePlus 12 review, the streamer battle, Google TV streamer review, on 4K review, I did most of the B-roll on all of those reviews with the 4K video on the S24 Ultra. And so it really does deliver. And I continue to go back to this for that B-roll time and time again because it just looks good, especially when you throw it in Premiere and do a little bit of color treatment. You can get some really great output on it. Project Moohan and Android XR. It wasn't very long ago. It was just a couple of weeks ago that I went down to the Google campus and got to go first hand into these unreleased devices. Samsung's Project Moohan, next generation XR from the company, still unreleased. We still don't know when it's going to be released outside of next year, 2025. But man, playing around with it, the spatialized photos and videos, that kind of conversion that Google showed off of taking a 2D image from your Google Photos library and turning it into a spatialized image was just so intriguing and convincing. It was really cool. Also, the pass-through resolution and depth, it was very accurate. It felt when I put the headset on that the distance to things was dialed in to a degree that I hadn't experienced before. I wasn't tenuous or nervous about moving around in the room like I was going to run into something because the scaling was wrong. So that was cool. And then, of course, the multimodal AI, Gemini on board. But it's not just, oh, Gemini AI is on board. It sees everything you see. It also sees everything on the screen. It sees everything in the room. You can query it about the things that you see. And so it's not just an AI that can like turn on and off a setting in your settings. It can do so much more. And I believe that it will. Project Astra, also unreleased. Also, shown off just earlier this month at the Google campus. I got to play around with it after it had been teased at Google I/O earlier this year. That multimodality on board, when you're wearing these glasses and you're going around the world, it just allows everything that you look at to be an information source. And that's just a really cool concept. And especially with that built-in memory, so it can remember in the past certain things that it's noticed, and then you can query against that. And then you've got the Raxium displays, very sharp, wonderful, crisp, colorful. The output is just awesome. This is going to be a big deal when it comes out. I'm pretty convinced of that. People are going to really kind of flip their lid when they actually see this firsthand. You just wait. It's going to be pretty awesome. All right, how about the top 5 best tech purchases for my business? And right at the top, again, it's around here somewhere. God, I feel like such a hoarder right now. The Osmo Pocket 3. I actually got the creator combo, so it's a whole kit, a bunch of accessories and everything that have to do with the Osmo, and this is easily at the top of my list. It's versatile. It's run and gun, grab and go. Like if I need a camera really quick and I want it to be stabilized and I want it to look good, nice quality 4K footage, the Osmo Pocket 3 is really just time and time again, the more I use it, the more I realize I can trust it. And that's really at the end of the day what I want, something that's easy to use that I can trust with the quality. And actually it comes with the DJI Mic 2. If you get the creator combo, I actually have 2 of those mics. So you can pair this device with that and it becomes really easy to just take it out of the box, turn on the microphone, hand that to someone, and start shooting. It's a key piece of gear in my arsenal. $669 for the Osmo Pocket 3 Creator Combo. The Elgato Prompter, which I'm actually talking into right now. Elgato makes great quality, pretty affordable stuff, I'd say. And this thing is really simple. I've used a lot of prompters in my day. They're always these big hulking environments that require a separate person to run them. And this is really designed to be the sort of thing that I, a creator, can run myself. It's small and relatively easy to tuck into a corner. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space. I can show an extended desktop on it, which is kind of what I'm doing right now because I just kind of have talking point notes. I don't have a full script for this. So I can extend that onto the screen with the extended desktop, or I could throw StreamYard and Zoom calls into that monitor, and then it looks like I'm looking at you when I'm talking to you. Things do get a little small. The display is, I'd say, a little small for my taste or my aging eyes. So you might notice that some of my videos, I'm a little bit closer, which, it can be kind of nice for other aesthetic reasons, but it's also so that I can see everything on the screen, if I'm completely honest. Also has some prompter software that recently pushed out a new update, a very long overdue update for voice sync capability. So you can load your prompter copy into the prompter software and you can turn on that voice recognition and it will detect where you are in the script. It'll scroll for you. And that's just amazing. $280 for the Elgato Prompter. The ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Now, I first used the ATEM Mini during the pandemic when I was still working at Twit, and I had my podcast studio upstairs. They gave me an ATEM Mini to do some little video switching. Mine, however, here is the ISO version, and that essentially means that it's a 4-input video switcher, and I can set it up so that it puts out the switched version, and it also records each individual input as an ISO. Isolated recording so that I can do whatever I want later. And to be quite honest, I had ideas that I might need that, and in reality, I really haven't used that part of it at all. But regardless, it's a key piece of gear for what I do down here in this studio. It allows me to switch between my A-roll camera, which is what I'm looking into right now, my B-roll camera, which is above me for a top-down shot, and any other cameras that I plug into it, which I sometimes do. I do wish it was 4K. It's just an HD video switcher. But hey, you can't have everything. $500 for that. Now, upstairs, I have my podcast studio up there for when I can't be down here. And I wanted a video switcher up there too, because I have 2 cameras. And instead of getting another ATEM Mini, I got the OSEE GoStream M2. This is a 2-input video switcher, and it's a fifth of the price. It's $130. I found it on Amazon. It's a simple switcher. It does do picture-in-picture, and it has some configuration around that. But really, I just use it for switching between my A-roll shot and my B-roll shot. And, there's not a whole lot more to say about it. It does what it does, and it does it pretty well. I've been using it for probably about 5 months now. And for $130, you just can't beat it. It's really great. And finally, a neck mount. I don't know that I have the neck mount here. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Got an elaborate organizational system that involves Ziplocs. What I wanted were POV shots. I wanted to be able to put like my Osmo Pocket 3 right here on my chest, shooting out. So when I have phones in front of me, it actually looked like, I was using the phone or you were using the phone through the shot. And so what we have here is a neck mount. And essentially, it's kind of got this rigidity to it. I can put it around. I can snap it into place. Oh, do I have this on backwards? Let's try this again. I can put it around, snap it into place. That lays against my chest. I know it's kind of nerdy, but it allows me to then pop the Osmo Pocket 3. If I was doing this right now, I probably wouldn't have the full extension on. But essentially, I can have this mounted on my chest looking out with the camera. Then all my footage is from my perspective, and which is really great. And now a couple of things to note, you can see it kind of does a little bit of a wobbly thing depending on, if I'm talking or animated or whatever. You got to be careful about that. Also, I've noticed that when I breathe, your chest expands, and so it kind of moves this out and in. So you got to be kind of careful with that. I don't know, maybe it's a me problem. I'm not sure. And depending on the hardware that you're using, sometimes these things don't tighten down well enough. There is another attachment for my Osmo Pocket 3 where I can, kind of remove all of that extra space and just reduce it to just this size. So it's not as bad. It's not as heavy anyways. But, it does the trick. Depending on how I've set it up, it does produce some pretty great POV shots. And so that was just $26 for a purchase on that. And that really goes a long way. All right, top 5 unnecessary tech purchases for my business. I will admit that when I started this business, I was operating under the idea of having worked for studios that had reasonably unlimited budgets for different things that we needed. And so I felt like I needed to buy all the things. And so I bought a bunch of things that ultimately I just didn't need. One of them, though, seemed really smart. The Elgato Stream Deck pedal. Not the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck I do have, and it didn't make any of these lists. But the Stream Deck pedal. This is a foot pedal. And before the Elgato Prompter got voice sync capability, I got this to roll the switcher. Because like I said earlier, at other places that I've worked, I've had a person operating a teleprompter, and now it's got to be me. And I'm also reading, and I'm also doing all these other things. And so I wanted the foot pedal because I figured, as long as my foot is pushing down the pedal, it starts to roll on the screen, and it takes a little bit of practice, but I could get used to it. Ultimately, it was just a little too fiddly for my workflow. I know people do use this, and it works fine. And really, it's just sat in the corner collecting dust. And now, of course, with that voice sync capability, I just really have no use for it. It's not bad. It just doesn't really serve my purpose personally. Glide Gear Medusa Body POV Vest. Okay, this was my first attempt at POV shot. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, all right. Huh? Oh my goodness. Like, it just kind of looks like I'm going to battle, to be honest. Okay, every time I wanted to, look at this. It's like body armor. If I wanted to do POV shot, I'd have to put this on and have to clip it around, and then I would mount, the camera out here. And, it has the different kind of mounting holes and brackets, areas to kind of connect to, which is kind of neat. So it's not like this is a horrible solution. It's just, it's just kind of dorky, but hey, it's just me here. Like, I'm fine being a dork all by myself. But what I noticed is the structure of it sometimes, depending on how, what you have connected into it and how it's all connected and everything, isn't rigid or strong enough to hold everything. And one way that I really noticed this is if I have a camera extending out on this thing, and then I breathe in any way, shape, or form, the video that you see just has a lot of heaving. Maybe I'm realizing that I just breathe heavily in life. I don't know. I should have done my homework a little bit more, because really at the end of the day, I don't think I need this body armor from Glide Gear. And it wasn't inexpensive. It was like $130 or something. I don't know. It seemed like the right solution. I didn't know about the neck mounts. And so what you gonna do? I bought what I thought I needed. ReStream. Okay. Speaking of doing homework before buying, I bought this a full year subscription to ReStream on a Black Friday deal a handful of weeks ago, primarily because I didn't check what I needed to check. I didn't do my due diligence about one thing specifically. I thought that ReStream did local recording, which is essentially if I connect a bunch of people to ReStream for streaming our live podcast out to different platforms, does it also offer the ability to record each individual streamer's recording from their machine the way StreamYard does? This is what we've been using for months now, and we've been having kind of iffy results with it in recent months. So I wanted to try something new. I bought the full year, and it wasn't horribly expensive, but definitely, it doesn't do what I thought it did. And so for right now, it has very little use to me. So it's more of a me problem than a them problem. Although I have noticed that ReStream has acknowledged on their site that they are beta testing local recordings coming soon. And when that happens, this will probably switch columns, or at least I'll be testing it to see what the quality is, because I'm very curious to see. The DJI OM 4 or DJI OM 4, not really quite sure. But before the Pocket 3 came onto my radar, I saw this, and it's a gimbal for smartphone. I probably have that too. Hold on. All right, it's a gimbal that you use with your smartphone. Again, it's probably not, bad in and of itself. It's just when I tried to use it, I could never really get great results out of it. And, it has a little hand control pad for kind of maneuvering, and moving it. And, you can kind of see it just lit up because I just powered it on. It can balance and straighten the smartphone when it's mounted in there. Anytime I used it, the footage that I got out of it didn't make me super happy. I wasn't super satisfied with the footage. I didn't buy it brand new, so at least there's that. I got it used, and I didn't pay a huge amount for it, but you know what? The Osmo Pocket 3 came along, and I just really have absolutely no use for this anymore. Thank you, Pocket 3. And finally, I think on my list of unnecessary tech purchases, a DSLR camera, or two, which is what I have purchased. And hear me out on this one. I love my Lumix GH5 cameras. I have one for my A-roll and one for my B-roll up there. They produce excellent 4K video, which you're seeing right now with the lenses that I paired with them. So the quality is excellent. But what I've come to realize is they are probably overkill. Things look great, no question. I love how things look through these lenses and through these cameras. But I could have just used a great smartphone for my video, especially starting out. And no one would have really noticed, right? No one would have said, hey, your video could look a lot better with a DSLR if I was using, a Galaxy S24 Ultra for video. So, I think it's just a lesson learned. Use what you have, not what you think you need, because you might not need it. And that's a pretty pricey kind of expense. These cameras were not inexpensive. The lenses were not inexpensive. I would not go back. I'm going to continue using these because I love the quality. It's a cost that I probably could have put off until later, if I'm completely honest with myself. Top 5 AI services that I use regularly. Top of that list, Perplexity Pro, no question. I love Perplexity. I use it every day as my kind of LLM system of choice. Copywriting, brainstorming, titling, thumbnail concepts, research, you name it. Every day I think of new ways to use Perplexity more and more and integrate it into my workflow. Spaces is a feature that they rolled out recently that allows you to kind of create tailored kind of zones for very specific use cases. So I could load all my documentation on best practices for a specific thing. And then when I go into that space, it'll be well educated around what the answers are that I'm actually looking for. I can't say that I work less because of Perplexity, but I definitely get more done in the same amount of time. And that's what I love about it. OpusClip, clipping social nuggets, definitely not enjoyable for me. When I'm done with a podcast, the last thing I want to do is go listen to that podcast again and look for moments. It's just not my favorite. It feels to me like a spending of my time doing something that I don't enjoy. I'm not a huge fan of it. OpusClip makes it at least a bit more bearable. And essentially you can load in a podcast or a video or whatever and tell it, these are the things that I'm looking for, or make a compilation of these kinds of moments, or just pull out moments that you think are the most exciting, interesting moments from the podcast. And it will pull out those moments based on what it sees in the transcript and based on what it sees in the video. And it will edit together a social friendly kind of shortened clip that I can then share out. The thing is, it still requires plenty of work in the process. It's not like it does, it attempts to do the whole thing, but if you were to just post it the way it is, you might save a ton of time, but the quality is going to be low. Like, it's a great starting point. It's not a great finishing point, let me just say. But it definitely helps to identify clips, and sometimes, posting those as well. So I got to give it a thumbs up for that. It's definitely saved me time. ReStream transcription. So this is my go-to transcription site. It's completely free. You don't even need to log in to use it. You just go there, upload your MP3 file. It gives you a transcript like a minute later. It's super fast. As with any AI transcription, the results are not perfect. You kind of got to go through your results. And, if you find misspellings, replace them and all that stuff. But essentially it gets you 90% of the way there. And like I said, it's really fast in the process. So that's become really key to my workflow. Adobe Podcast Tool. So this is another free tool that has saved me and plenty of other people. You upload a WAV file of audio that is imperfect, usually audio speaking into a microphone, let's say across the room, and you get all that room noise, that echo. Here I am talking from across the room with the phone recording about 6 or 7 feet away from me. The AI system will analyze that audio and then clean up the audio. It'll give you the ability to actually move a slider to set the mix of the original version of the audio and the cleaned up version of the audio. Here I am talking from across the room with the phone recording about 6 or 7 feet away from me. Here I am talking from across the room with the phone recording about 6 or 7 feet away from me. Here I am talking from across the room with the phone recording about 6 or 7 feet away from me. This is actually really powerful because you don't necessarily want to go 100%. And I'm guaranteeing you right now, if you go 100%, which might be your initial intention is, oh, wow, this sounds great. I want maximum of this. If you do that and you sync it up with video, it has this uncanny quality to it. And so I highly recommend not doing that. I often actually set this to 3 to 5% and find that that's plenty good enough. So play around with it. Don't go overboard with it, but it really will save the day. And finally, Udio, which I don't use a lot. This is a music AI service, but as a musician, it's a great way to bounce ideas off of it. So I might take my ideas, throw it into UDO and say, give me some directions on where I could take this. As a musician, that's really helpful. Or to build very basic music beds. Sometimes as a creator, you don't need music that takes center stage. You just need music to be tucked underneath the dialogue to kind of move things along and never featured fully. And tools like this are really great for that and fascinating as a result. And finally, top 5 things I learned in my first year of independence. This is where I get a little, I'm talking directly to you here with the things that I've really learned. First, what equipment do you really need? It's easy to think you need to buy all these things in order to fuel what you're doing. Honestly, you're probably spending a lot of money that you don't need to spend. At the end of the day, really focus your time on what you are creating, the content, the value of your content, the value of your script. You're really kind of getting into the habit and the routine of learning all of these new skills. And the more equipment that you buy up front, you're setting yourself back monetarily because that's money that you're now out that you need to recoup at some point. But you're also creating habits around things that maybe were unnecessary to begin with, and maybe they teach you bad habits as a result. So what equipment do you really need? That's something that I've been learning time and time again. Figure out how to love the process, or it eats you. And I've really struggled with this at times throughout the last year, where I'm like, I don't want to edit this video. I just want to publish it and move on to the next thing, because there's certain parts of this process, this whole experience, that I really enjoy. I really love, creating and shooting and everything. And editing, sometimes it takes so long and it takes so much required focus and attention that I can get impatient. And if I push back, if I'm so impatient that I start to kind of rebel against the process, then I start to feel kind of miserable through it all. And that impatience can be a real detriment to my output and to what I'm creating. And I think it comes across in kind of energetically speaking as well. So I've really had to learn to love the process, to slow things down, and to just be okay with the fact that not every part of my job is the enjoyable part. And that leads into the third point. The magic you're looking for is in the work you are avoiding. My goodness, how many times did I run into this where I'm like, I just don't want to do that thing. I don't want to do that thing. So I keep putting it off. And then when I finally do that thing, I'm like, why didn't I do that sooner? Because now all of these other things are happening. Or, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It really is true. It's proven to be true time and time again for me throughout this year. The magic that I'm looking for is in the work that I'm avoiding. Do the work I'm avoiding. There's gold on the other side of that effort. And fourth, the importance of community, collaboration, relationships. Because let me tell you, this room, I know it's super exciting. It's pretty lonely. It's lonely in here if I don't have people to collaborate with, if I don't have a community to tap into, if I don't have people who follow and watch my work and reach out to me and, I don't have a conversation with them. I used to work in a business, in a company with an office and people, and, communicating with people is just kind of part of my daily routine. And now it's kind of me and my dogs and sometimes my wife and my kids, and it can be really lonely. And so there's so much importance around the community that I'm building with this channel. And more I'm trying to figure out how I can find ways to really cultivate that on a deeper level. And finally, comparison is the thief of joy. I am really proud of how far I've come in a year. And I've worked harder than I've ever worked at anything to do what I've done so far. And yet, every once in a while, I look over and I see some new person coming into the fold, and they're able to launch from 0 to 150,000 subscribers in a matter of months. And when I start going down the road of comparison and like, oh man, it would be so much easier if I was them or if that was my situation, it takes the fun away from the experience. And if I don't have fun in this experience, then the worth of doing it lessens and starts to deteriorate. And the truth is, I really do enjoy creating all this stuff. I enjoy reviewing products. I enjoy going down to the Google campus and, getting access to something that other people are going to have to wait months to see. I enjoy feeling that my opinions are important enough that people want to hear them. I enjoy all of that. And when I lose sight of that because I look over there and I see someone else doing it better or faster or in some ways more of this and more of that, it just steals all that joy away from me. And, you know, I've had this happen a couple of times and I've really had to remind myself, like, I'm super fortunate to have what I have and to have you all in my corner powering me through it all. So I have to remind myself, don't look over there, because the answer of what I'm doing is not over there. It's right here. I've learned so much in the first year of this channel. I have grown from 0 when I launched it to right now, at least at the time of this recording, around 5,700 subscribers in a single year. And I'm very proud of that. I really feel like I have earned every one of those subscribers through hard work, through diligence, through being myself in this wild and crazy world of YouTube. You know, the gurus are often going to say that you have to be different, you have to stand out to get noticed on YouTube. And while that might be true to a certain degree, there's no better way to be unique than to be truly yourself. And I recognize that. I strive to do that every day with every video on this channel. So thank you for being here with me on this journey. I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate each and every one of you. I'm still only at the beginning of all this. And, you know, I'm really excited for what's in store for 2025. Got some really cool things coming up. Some of the things that I've announced, the writing gigs, you know, being on the Daily Tech News Show podcast in a more, you know, in a bigger way in 2025. There's just a lot to look forward to on top of what I'm already doing. So I'm going to be busy, and I'm going to keep building this business, and hopefully I'm going to keep you engaged and happy with what I'm doing so that you'll be here along with me on the ride. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here with me, and Happy New Year. See you guys.